Hey guys, welcome back to day 3 of the challenge. Today we're going to be discussing one of my personal favorite topics, food. So I love helping people understand what acne triggering foods are because there's so many misconceptions out there. I remember this being one of the biggest challenges for me before I sought out professional help. So for today's challenge, we're going to include a handout below. It's going to help you identify what acne triggering foods you might be consuming on a regular basis. Don't worry, we're going to walk through everything together, talk about some super simple acne safe swaps. So I'm sure you've probably heard that foods that trigger acne include things like sugar or chocolate, gluten, greasy foods. In reality, these things aren't true acne triggers. When we're talking about true acne triggers, there's 3 things. So we've got iodine, vitamin B7 or biotin, and then vitamin B12. So let's start off and talk about iodine. So the reason that iodine is so triggering to our skin is because when there is more iodine in our system, more than the body can use, anything that's excess, that's directly excreted through our oil glands. So as you can imagine, that's a really big problem when we have acne prone skin. Super inflammatory, very irritating to our pores, and thus leads to visible breakouts. Iodine is an essential nutrient. We do need it in our diet, but we just tend to get way too much in our modernized diet. This is because there's a lot of foods that are naturally high in iodine, but also traditional table salt likes to sneak its way into a lot of things. And traditional table salt is fortified with iodine. So if you're using that Morton salt, the one with the girl with the little umbrella, that's your iodized salt. So you might have this in your salt shaker at home, or if you're using seasoning blends like taco seasoning, garlic salt, things like that. Other places we want to look out for iodized salt: prepared, packaged, frozen foods, basically anything that you're grabbing off of the shelves of the grocery store. So think soup or pasta sauce, condiments, frozen pizza, chips, popcorn, all that stuff. We want to look out for the iodized salt. So as a general rule of thumb, when you're looking at the ingredient label, you want to look for either no salt added or sea salt specifically. That's a good way to know that it's not going to have the iodized salt in there. Other places we want to be mindful of iodine: cow's milk dairy. So you probably have heard that cow's milk dairy can be problematic for acne, but the reason why is because cows are actually supplemented with iodine. So then when we consume their dairy products, we're intaking a high amount of iodine as well. So while we get clear, it's best to completely eliminate cow's milk dairy. So your yogurt, ice cream, milk, half and half. We do have a little wiggle room with cheese and butter. And this is because those products are a little bit more processed. So with that processing, the iodine content comes down. So we still want to consume cheese and butter in moderation, but we have found that about 2 or 3 servings of cheese per week is still an acne safe range. Keep in mind, a serving size isn't too much. We're thinking like 1 slice of cheese on a burger or a sandwich, stuff like that. Now, goat and sheep cheese is a nice acne safe alternative. So you can have that kind of cheese more often if you'd like. The good news with all of this is it's super easy to be dairy free these days. You can find a replacement for pretty much any of your favorite dairy products. You just want to be mindful of other possible acne triggers. So for example, B12 is often fortified in a lot of non-dairy products. And then of course, maybe it contains soy, which we'll talk about here in a second. So what else has iodine? Well, think anything that's coming from the ocean. So seafood, seaweed, stuff like that. We do want to be mindful of our seafood intake. So we want to reduce it to just about 1 or 2 servings per week: tuna, shrimp, salmon. If you want to have fish more often than that, then just opt for a freshwater fish because it's not as high in the iodine content. Seaweed, we do want to completely eliminate. It's very, very high in iodine. So if you're having any of those green drink powders that have the blue-green algae like spirulina or chlorella, those dried seaweed snacks, sushi that's wrapped in seaweed, all places to look out for that. So what are some other foods that can trigger acne? Well, let's talk about soy. So soy is considered a phytoestrogen. Therefore, it can have an effect on our hormones and ultimately trigger acne. So while you get clear, it's best to eliminate all soy foods. So tempeh, tofu, edamame, soy sauce. If you're having meat substitutes that contain soy, so as you get in the habit of sort of combing through ingredient labels, don't be concerned if a product just has trace amounts of soy, 2% or less. That's not really enough to have a big impact. Just be mindful of those whole soy foods or soy as the main ingredient. So one other acne trigger that might be surprising is peanuts. Peanuts can also affect our hormones. They're considered a high androgen food, which then promotes more and more and more oil. So it's just peanuts that are problematic. So set aside the peanuts and the peanut butter, but a super easy swap. We've got almond butter, cashew butter, sun butter, which is made from sunflower seeds. All of those are healthy and a great acne safe alternative. Also, we want to be mindful of protein powder. Now, protein powder is not inherently acne triggering, but there are a few things that we want to be mindful of. So whey is really a popular ingredient in protein powders. Other things to look out for: soy, peanuts, dairy, if it's fortified with B12 or B7. We also want to keep in mind these things can find their way into protein bars, nutritional powders, pre-workout, all that stuff. And lastly, let's talk about eggs. So when we're talking about eggs and considering it with acne, we're only concerned about egg yolks. Egg yolks are actually a very concentrated source of biotin or B7. So if you're having eggs a lot, we do want to reduce that to just about 2 or 3 servings per week. And if you want to have more eggs more often than that, opt for the egg whites. Those are totally good to go. So have yourself a nice egg white omelet with veggies. Now, other places to find these triggers that we talked about today: iodine, B7 or biotin, and B12 are supplements. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow. See you then.